Hello, folks. Welcome to the show. And yeah, we are throwing ourselves into a Florida case. This makes my blood boil. And I can't guarantee I will not say foul words. But background. Dexter, the pup, was dropped off in a shelter in Pinellas County. 4-year-old spent months in the shelter until he was adopted on May 10th of 2024. That should have been the best day in that pup's life, to go to his forever home. 5 days later, on May 15th, 2024, his decapitated body was found in plastic bags in the water. They traced Dexter through the ship to his adoptee, Domingo Rodriguez, who said, "Dog ran away." And then checking cameras around this waterway, Domingo Rodriguez was caught on camera in his truck with the cooler on his on the truck's bed, just 20 minutes before Dexter was found in the water. So yeah, there are some interesting connections and suggestions that Domingo did this. But now this is trial. Please, prosecution, do not screw this up. Do not screw this up. This trial is brought to you by Fox 13 Tampa Bay. I am restreaming from them. I have asked as a courtesy, hey, you mind if I restream? I haven't gotten a reply, but it was a courtesy ask. I will anyway. I will be a day behind though. Why? Well, because they show Dexter in the plastic bags. So I need to be prepared for not showing it because it's bad, folks. It's bad, folks. So this is a short trial, which is also one of the reasons why I chose to get into it. I am not going to stream full time the cheating wife murder trial, simply because they are going on for another month, and I'm still recovering from pneumonia, so I simply do not have the energy for that long of a trial. I will bring updates, but other than that, not for a while now. Short trials and more videos. I will explain more in tomorrow's members only stream. But first, hello Chicken Poo, hello Brooklyn, JMK is here. Come Tennessee girl, I believe, Factual Gwendolyn, Divans more. Hello folks. I hope you find your way here. to this trial. Now, Fox 13 Tampa, they are not used to streaming trials, so it is a bit choppy, but the sound is good. Didn't they name the dog Trooper after it? No, this is not that trial. This is not that trial. No, this is Dexter, who was decapitated. So it was not a rescued dog. It was an adopted dog in which the adoptee, Domingo Rodriguez, is charged with severe animal cruelty and is facing 5 years in prison if convicted. So it's not that one. So, folks, as I said, Fox 13, Tampa Bay, not used to this trial streaming, so it's a bit choppy. They missed the first few minutes and they will cut out once in a while, but we will do our best to follow along. So this is, I have 2 hours. Well, they went on for 5 hours yesterday. I will do 2.5, half now, half tomorrow, and then try to catch up during the weekend. This trial is scheduled for 4 days. No, Trooper wasn't unalived. He got a forever home.
The evidence code. Except that otherwise permitted in 90.702, a witness may not testify to a matter unless evidence is introduced which is sufficient to support a finding that the witness has personal knowledge of the matter. Evidence to prove personal knowledge may be given by the witness's own testimony. So the fact that they're going to be called here to say, hey, do you have any knowledge of this case? Do you know about this dog, et cetera, and they're going to answer in the negative, that would be against the evidence code, and that would lead the jury, put them in a position where they're going to infer guilt based upon someone's lack of information in this case, especially someone very close to the defendant, such as his family members. In regards to the elderly gentleman, which if you see him, he has a face mask. He's barely audible. I believe he also has some hearing issues. I don't believe he's competent to testify. That's based upon 90.603 disqualification of a witness. And so in all, generally speaking, what the state is trying to do is say, hey, look, we're going to bring these witnesses and we're going to establish that they did nothing. And I don't expect anybody to take the stand in a case like this and admit to doing something like this to the dog. So they're getting this negative proposition and saying, hey, because these people are going to say that they didn't do it, the defendant must have done it. I believe that's unfair prejudice. That's going to conflate the issues, confuse the jury, and it's going to be an unfair, prejudicial inference that's not based upon substantive evidence. It's going to be based upon a negative, and I don't believe that that's permissible in this case. And that's the only reason that the state is intending to call the defendant's family members in this case.
Thank you, Ms. Beltran.
It's going to be Mr. Miller.
Mr. Newland?
Yes, Your Honor. So as for the character evidence argument, the state's not intending to ask any questions about good character, bad character. It's simply the facts of this case. The witnesses that we have out there are people that we believe were staying at the same house or the location as Mr. Rodriguez, people who had access to Dexter, the dog in this case, people who potentially might have been ones who caused him harm. What we're doing is excluding them as potential suspects for the jury. So we're not going to ask any questions about could Mr. Rodriguez have ever done this? So we're not going to ask them questions about have you ever harmed an animal before, other than for the facts of this case.
Yeah, so the prosecution here is, since this household had a bunch of people in it, they need to get ahead of the possible defense of you can't prove it wasn't anybody else in the house.
Did you harm the animal in this case? That's the extent of the questions that we're going to ask them. So it's not really a character evidence argument. It's really based on the facts of this case. And then as for, I did not personally speak with the father, grandfather in this case, so I can't talk about.
Ms. Beltran, did you speak to the grandfather?
I did, Your Honor. He was able to answer all my questions coherently and appropriately. I don't have complicated questions for him, so at this point, I think that it sounds like it's more of a weight, not admissibility issue.
And he's the father of the defendant or of the defendant's spouse?
Spouse, but he's living in the home with them.
Okay. Any rebuttal argument?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't believe it's, obviously I should have said this earlier, but I believe it's this court's authority to determine if a witness is competent to testify or not. So in regards to him, depending upon what you rule on the other witnesses, I'd ask that his testimony be proffered outside the presence of the jury, and this court make the determination of whether he should be placed before the jury and be given testimony.
All right, the court will grant that request, deny the rest of the motion, and we will put the grandfather on after these other witnesses, and we'll give the jury a break, and we'll do a proffer. The court will give a ruling as to the grandfather, but the rest of the motion is denied. Anything else before we bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor. Please let me know if this is premature so I could reserve for a later time. We anticipate, based upon the evidence that we've received and the state's opening statement, that they're going to be eliciting inconsistent statement from the defendant. Our position is that based upon case law, prior inconsistent statements can't be used as substantive evidence, and this court must give a limiting instruction to the jury to not consider that as substantive evidence. I have authority. You have 2 second DCA cases which stand for that proposition. I could continue with that now, or do you want me to wait before we get to the elicitation?
I'd like you to submit the cases to the court as well as the state, and then we'll take that up later when it becomes necessary.
Yes, sir. Let the record reflect I'm providing both cases to the state. The first case is going to be State v. McReynolds. That is, I have a LexisNexis site. It's 2025 Florida, Pellet Lexus 44650 Florida Law Weekly B231. The Westlaw site is 258922. That's the second DCA case, hot off the press, January 22nd, 2025. And then the second case is also a second DCA case, Smith v. State. That's 880 Southern 2nd, 730, second DCA 2004. I provided physical copies. I also have a copy for Your Honor if you want me to approach.
Yes, I'd like physical copies, and then we will address this later on when it becomes necessary.
And obviously, it goes without saying, my client, it needs the interpreter. There have not been interpreting for this motion, and let me, so I'll waive his presence for the motions that I presented to the court. May I approach?
Yes, please. Thank you. All right. So anything else to address, state or defense?
Nothing from the state at this time.
Nothing from the defense.
Madam's interpreters, I should say, would you please both stand and raise your right hand? Do you both swear or affirm that to the best of your ability you'll translate everything that happens in this courtroom today in languages that everyone understands? My understanding is we'll be using the Spanish and English languages. Do you both swear or affirm to do that?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Thank you. Would you please put your appearances on the record?
Laura Alton, court certified Spanish interpreter. And Daniel Berry.
Yeah, so there will be some
Thank you, ladies.
interpretation
Have a
here
seat.
from
Bring in the
Spanish
jury.
to English.
I had a question about that, Your Honor. Which one was your number one? How were they seated?
Juror number 1 is Misiak.
Okay, was she seated in that seat?
I don't recall.
She was. She said that she
She was.
did.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring in the jury.
State.
Okay. And since we are
Is there anything
behind,
you guys would have to say about this? 6 rules.
going to skip until the jury comes. Is here.
Your Honor, jury's present, seated in the jury box.
Thank you. Welcome back, members of the jury. Sorry it's a little later than I wanted it to be, but we have a quite a few cases pending in this section at any given time, but we're done with all of our other business for today, so we can resume the trial. As promised, the first thing I'm going to ask you is whether or not any member of the jury is aware of any violation of the court's instructions up to this moment in time. If so, please raise your hand. Record will reflect that no hands are raised. So we're going to resume the trial at this time. State, call your first witness, please.
Mr. Honor, the state calls Ms. Lenny Conde Martinez. Ms. Lenny?
It sounds okay. You in the chat over at Rumble X and YouTube. Let me know if you need more sound. Yeah, this judge is fast with ruling on motions.
Where are the notepads? Or over the
It's a little quiet, okay.
Do you swear? At least you need an interpreter.
Have interpreters.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Aquí, por favor. Just have a seat. Speak out loud.
And please bring the interpreter a chair if she needs one. You may proceed.
As I said earlier, Fox 13, Tampa Bay is not used to these the trial streaming things, so they already had their openings, and which was the day before. Then yesterday morning they had this hearing, and now they are calling the first witness. So due to the inexperience of Fox 13 Tampa Bay, there will be some things missing. Nothing to, but I actually prefer. I'm starting to wonder if I simply. I know your opening statements are always fun to hear, but I'd rather listen to the evidence and the evidence alone. You let me know what you think.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury,
Puede presentarse al jurado
spelling your first and last name for the court reporter?
y deletree su nombre y su apellido para que conste en el acta.
Mi nombre es Neslene Conde Martínez.
My name is Neslene Conde Martinez.
And would you mind spelling that, please, for the record?
Por favor, deletréelo para que conste en el acta.
N-E-S-L-N-E.
Neslene.
Yes.
Yes. Neslene.
All right. Is it Miss Martinez or Conde Martinez? What do you
Su nombre es
prefer?
Conde Martinez.
Conde Martínez.
Conde Martinez.
Miss Conde Martinez, well, let me ask you, are you related to anybody here in this courtroom today?
Permítame preguntarle, ¿estás relacionada con alguien que está presente en la sala del tribunal hoy aquí?
Sí.
Yes.
Specifically, somebody named Domingo Rodriguez.
Específicamente alguien llamado Domingo Rodriguez.
Sí.
Yes.
And can you indicate by explaining where he is in the courtroom and identifying an article of clothing that
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez is wearing?
Puede usted indicar, señalando hacia el lugar de la sala del tribunal, indicando una prenda de vestir que lleva puesto el señor Domingo Rodríguez.
El saco azul.
The blue jacket.
And I'm sorry, could you just be a little more specific? We have multiple people wearing blue jackets.
Hay muchas personas que llevan saco azul. ¿Puede usted ser más específica?
Tiene la camisa azul también. La
Pues,
corbata azul con lista.
He's wearing a blue shirt and he's wearing a blue tie.
And is he to your left or to your right in the courtroom?
Se encuentra él a su derecha o a su izquierda en la sala del
A
tribunal.
mi derecha.
To my right.
I'd ask that the record reflect that the witness is
Que
identified
conste en
as the
acta
defendant.
que el
Defense.
testigo ha identificado al
Record
acusado.
so
La
reflect
defensa está de
the
acuerdo.
identification.
Consta en el acta que se ha realizado la identificación.
Do you live with the defendant?
¿Vive usted con el acusado?
Sí.
Yes.
And where is that located? Where's your home address?
¿Dónde es eso? ¿Dónde se encuentra su dirección de habitación?
En la 3367, 66 Way North, San Petersburg, 33710.
337.
10.
At 3367 66 West Way, St. Petersburg, Florida 33710.
To your knowledge, is that located in Pinellas County?
¿Sabe usted, según lo que conoce, si se encuentra ubicado en el condado de Pinellas?
Sí,
Yes.
Were you living at that location in May 2024?
¿Vivía usted en ese lugar en mayo de 2024?
sí,
Yes.
At that time, was Domingo Rodriguez, the defendant, also living with you there?
Y en ese momento se encontraba también el acusado Domingo Rodríguez viviendo allí con usted?
sí.
Yes.
Did you learn that your husband, the defendant, adopted a dog in May of 2024?
¿Se enteró usted de que su esposo, el acusado, adoptó a un perro en mayo de 2024?
Sí.
Objection.
Yes.
hearsay, based upon
Objeción,
Sustain the
testimonio
objection
de
to
oídas,
hearsay.
al lugar, por el testimonio de oídas.
Did you see a dog at your home?
¿Vio usted un perro en su casa?
Sí,
Yes.
Who brought that dog home?
¿Quién trajo ese perro a casa?
Domingo.
Domingo.
Permission to approach the clerk?
Granted.
¿Me permite hablar con la secretaria? Concedido.
Permission to approach the witness?
Granted.
Permiso para acercarme a la testigo.
I'm showing what's
Concedido.
been pre-marked and defense counsel does have a copy for the
Le
record.
estoy mostrando lo que se ha marcado previamente
Pre-marked for identification as states exhibit 1.
como prueba de la fiscalía número 1 para identificación.
Do you recognize what is depicted in this photo?
¿Reconoce usted lo que se muestra en esta fotografía?
El perro lo veo muy oscuro.
The dog, I say it looks a little bit dark, very dark.
Se parece bastante en la fisonomía. ¿verdad?
It looks a lot physically like the dog.
Do you know the dog's name?
¿Sabe usted el nombre del perro?
Derek.
Derek.
Derek?
Derek,
Derek.
Permission to approach the clerk.
¿me
Granted.
permite acercarme al secretario? Concedido.
Okay.
Ms. Conde Martinez, is
Dexter was the name of the dog in the shelter. If they called him Derek at the house, I don't know.
English your first language?
Señora Conde Martínez, ¿es el inglés su primer idioma?
No,
No.
Is it possible that the dog's name was Dexter?
¿Es posible que el nombre del perro fuese Dexter?
no sé, yo no sé pronunciar muy bien los nombres.
I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce the names very well.
Did you ever meet the dog that your husband brought home?
¿Conoció usted alguna vez el perro que su esposo trajo a casa?
Sí, lo vi cuando llegó a la casa.
Yes, I saw it when it got home.
Did you ever see the dog being aggressive?
¿Alguna vez vio usted que el perro fuese agresivo?
No,
No.
estaba tranquilo.
It was calm.
Did you later learn that the dog had passed away?
Luego,
As Chicken Pooh says, I think they are trying to exclude other people that live in the house. I don't think she's testifying against him exactly. That was the first 10 minutes of this stream. What the prosecution explained why they are calling people who lived in the house, and that is to get ahead of the defense that there were other people in that house. You can prove which one did it, which the prosecution is now getting ahead of by calling his wife, I believe even her father, and other people that lived in this house.
¿usted se enteró de que el perro había fallecido?
Yo me enteré de que el perro se había perdido. Ya me enteré después cuando fue la policía a la casa.
I learned that the dog got lost, and later I found out when the police went to the house.
And I know this might be an uncomfortable question, but I have to ask, did you kill the dog?
Sé que esta es una pregunta incómoda, pero tengo que hacerla. ¿Usted mató al perro?
I make the same objection that was made during motion.
La misma objeción que se hizo durante el pedimento in limine, denegada.
You can answer the question, did you kill the dog?
¿Puede responder la pregunta? ¿Usted
No,
mató al
por
perro?
supuesto que no.
No, of course not.
No further questions.
No
Thank
más
you.
preguntas.
Cross.
Gracias.
As Gwendolyn says, a spouse doesn't have to testify against their spouse. I don't think that means they can't testify at all. Exactly. They did not bring her in to ask what she if she believes her husband did it, what he did, if anything, to the dog. They asked, what do you remember this dog? How was the dog's temperament? Did you kill the dog? So, yeah.
Contrainterrogatorio.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Did you ever see my client harm the dog in any way?
¿Alguna vez vio usted a mi cliente haciéndole daño al perro de alguna forma?
No,
No.
Did you ever see my client scream at the dog or act aggressively toward the dog?
¿Alguna vez vio usted a mi cliente gritándole al perro o actuando de manera agresiva
No.
contra el perro? No.
Did you ever witness my client make any gestures or verbal aggressions toward the dog in question?
¿Alguna vez vio usted a mi cliente haciendo gestos de agresividad o hablándole con agresividad de manera verbal al perro?
no,
No.
You love your husband, correct?
Usted ama a su esposo, ¿verdad?
por supuesto.
Of course.
No further questions.
No hay más preguntas.
Any redirect examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Segundo interrogatorio directo.
How long, if you recall, was the dog in your home?
¿Por cuánto tiempo recuerda usted que el perro permaneció en su casa?
Objection outside the scope of cross.
Objeción. No se ha hecho, se sale del ámbito del primer interrogatorio. Denegado.
You can answer the
Puede
question.
responder la pregunta.
How long was the dog inside the home
¿Por cuánto tiempo
or
estuvo
at the home?
¿Por cuánto tiempo estuvo el perro en la casa?
En la casa estuvo durante la noche, desde el día que llegó hasta por la noche, al otro día ya no.
He was at the house from the day it arrived until nighttime, and the next day, no.
That's interesting. So he brought the dog home, had it there, and the next day it was gone. Remember, they have Mr. Rodriguez at the scene where the dog was found on camera. So what happened the 3 days the dog wasn't at the home? Wow.
Were you able to have your eyes on the dog the entire time that the dog was at your home?
¿Pudo usted tener sus ojos, tener en vista al perro todo el tiempo que estuvo en la casa desde que llegó?
No, por supuesto que no, el perro estaba en el patio, yo estaba adentro, mi esposo de la casa. Yo
No.
lo vi, yo estuve fuera un poco tiempo.
No, of course not. The dog was in the patio, and I was inside the house. I saw it for a little bit, and it was outside.
Moment to confirm?
Yes.
Me dan permiso para
No
conversar.
further questions.
No hay más
Thank you. The
preguntas.
witness may step down and you're excused.
Se
Dave, call your next witness,
permite, se
please.
permite que la testigo se retire, puede retirarse. Queda
Yes,
la
sir.
sala.
People to say protocol,
Se llama
Domingo
al
Rodriguez.
próximo testigo, se llama Domingo Rodriguez.
So.
All right, I spoke with Snake Oil Coach.
Yes, please. Okay. Oh, sorry, so it's just you here. Okay, that's fine.
That's an interesting theory from Chicken Poo. Maybe he adopted it to fight it. Dog last fight. Repose. Yeah. I don't know. If they have evidence of that, I'm sure we're going to hear it.
Sequestration has been invoked, so attorneys, please instruct your witnesses accordingly. State, call your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. People to say protocol, Domingo Rodriguez.
So they are calling family members and people staying at the house in order to exclude them from suspicion,
Stand right here, raise your right hand, face the clerk, and take the oath.
which is interesting.
Affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
You're just going to have a seat over here, pull the chair all the way forward and speak in a loud voice to the court.
May it please the court?
Yes, sir.
Counsel. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You understand English?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and spell your name for the record?
Okay. My name is Domingo Rodriguez. I'm Domingo's son, and my name. Spell my name.
Yes, please.
So my name is Yordany, and my last name Rodriguez, Rodriguez.
All right, thank you, sir. And I know you said you're related to Mr. Rodriguez. Are you his son?
Yes, sir.
Do you currently live with Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Can you identify your father in the courtroom today?
Yeah.
Can you identify him by an article of clothing? Just say what he's wearing.
He's got like a blue suit and tie.
Okay. Is he wearing a blue tie?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do you currently live with your father?
Yes.
Is that address 3367 66 Way or 66 West Way North in St. Petersburg, Florida?
66 Way, not west.
Not west, just way?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that located in Pinellas County?
It's in St. Petersburg, yeah.
Okay. Were you living at that address on the night of May 10th and into the morning on May 11th, 2024?
Yes.
Are you familiar with your father adopting a dog?
Yeah.
Would you recognize a picture of that dog if you saw it?
Yeah.
Your permission to approach, Madam Clerk?
Friend.
Showing defense what's marked as State's Exhibit 1 for identification. And permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, do you recognize this picture?
Mhm.
How do you recognize it?
It's been all over the news.
Is this the dog that your father adopted?
Looks like it. I just only saw it for one day.
Okay.
Just one time.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of what the dog looked like that your father brought home?
Like I said, I only saw it one day. Looks like a dog.
Okay. Your Honor, the state offers into evidence what's been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 1 as State's Exhibit 1.
Defense?
Based upon the testimony, I don't believe the predicate's been laid that this is fair and accurate.
Objections overruled. It will be admitted as marked.
Now, Mr. Rodriguez, that dog that I just showed you a picture of, did you have any interaction with that dog?
I only saw it when I got home, like probably 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's about it.
And since you had such a short time, next couple questions, I just have to ask them.
Mhm.
Did you kill that dog?
No.
Did you cut that dog's head off?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross?
Good morning, Mr. Rodriguez.
What?
You stated you only saw the dog for a short amount of time, about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In that short amount of time, did you see your father at any point, Mr. Domingo, be aggressive with the dog?
No.
Was the dog acting erratically?
No, just doing dog stuff.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. From Mr. Rodriguez, from May 10th to May 11th, 2024, did you have your eyes on your father 100% of the time?
Not 100% of the time, but he was home with us.
Okay.
You know, I lived with him, but not in exactly in the same part of the house.
Okay. Were there times where your father was not in your presence?
Not that I know.
Not that you know of? So he was with you 24 hours a day?
Like I said, once I go inside my house, you know, I don't come outside much.
Okay. Isn't it true that you live in sort of like a separate part of the house?
Mm-hmm.
So your father lives in the main house
The main house.
with your mother, right? And then you live in a different part of the house, right?
Yes.
So let's say while your father was sleeping in his part of the house and you're sleeping in your part of the house, you would not see your father, right?
No.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, you may step down. You're excused. State, call your next witness, please.
What was that?
Your Honor, the people of the state of Florida call Neda Conde Martinez. Madam Clerk, we'll need your help with this. Thank you.
Right this way, please. If you'll please stand right here. Face the clerk. Raise your right hand and take the oath.
Do you swear or affirm that that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Right this way? You can just have a seat and pull the chair all the way forward.
Tome asiento y jale la silla hacia adelante.
Thank you.
Your witness,
Su testigo.
may it please the court, yes, sir. Counsel.
Con permiso del tribunal, abogados.
Good morning, ma'am.
Buenos días, señora.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Ma'am, can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and spell your name for the record?
¿Puede usted, por favor, presentarse a los miembros del jurado y deletrear su nombre para que conste en las actas?
Ok. N-E.
Okay, N-E.
No. N-E. Y-D-A.
N-E-Y-D-A.
And what is your last name?
¿Cuál es su apellido?
Conde.
Conde.
How do you spell that?
¿Cómo se deletrea?
O-N-D-E.
C-O-N-D-E.
Now, ma'am,
Ahora, señora,
are you related to Domingo Rodriguez?
¿usted es pariente del señor Domingo Rodríguez?
Sí, cuñada.
Yes, in-law.
Okay. Do you live at the same address as Domingo Rodriguez?
¿Usted vive en la misma dirección que el señor Domingo Rodríguez?
Sí.
Yes.
And is that address 3367 66th Way North, St. Petersburg, Florida?
¿Y esa dirección es la 3367 66 Way North de San Petersburgo, Florida?
Sí.
Yes.
Were you living there at that address with Domingo Rodriguez on May 10th and May 11th, 2024?
¿Usted estaba viviendo ahí en esa dirección con Domingo Rodríguez el 10 y el 11 de mayo del 2024?
Sí.
Yes.
Are you aware that Mr. Rodriguez adopted a dog around that time?
¿Está usted al tanto de que el señor Rodríguez...
Yep. For you who just joined, this is Florida versus Domingo Rodriguez. He is on trial for severe animal cruelty. Dexter, the dog, was adopted on May 10th last year. He disappeared from the home on May 11th and was found decapitated May 15th. Initially, Domingo said dog ran away, but then the cops gathered surveillance video from the area where Dexter was found, and there was Domingo in his truck with a cooler on the truck bed. So I don't know what other evidence there is. Now what they are doing here now is calling family and other people who was living at the house. Not because they want them to testify against Mr. Rodriguez, but to get ahead of a possible defense from Domingo. You can't prove it was me who did it. Other people in the house might have done it. So they are bringing up family members and other people living in the house to make them testify that they didn't do it.
¿Adoptó un perro alrededor de ese tiempo?
Sí.
Yes.
Did you ever see that dog?
¿Usted en algún momento vio a ese perro?
Sí.
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the court?
Permiso para acercarme al secretario.
Showing the witness what's already in evidence that
Estoy
states exhibit 1.
mostrando lo que se ha presentado como la prueba de cargo número 1.
Is this the dog that Domingo adopted?
Este es el perro que
Yo
Domingo
vi
adoptó.
el perro, que no sé describirlo bien porque nada más llegué de mi trabajo, lo vi en el patio y entré para mi casa a hacer, yo trabajo de 7 de la mañana a 5:30 de la tarde. Y entré para mi casa y ya no salí más afuera, no tuve más control.
I saw the dog, but I don't know how to describe it well because you see, I just came home from work and I saw it in the patio, but then I went inside. I work from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So once I was inside, I didn't go out much more.
No salgo más de mi casa.
I don't really leave my house.
Okay. Did you ever pet the dog?
¿Usted en algún momento acarició al perro?
No.
No.
Is it fair to say you just saw it briefly and then went into your part of the house?
¿Es justo decir que usted simplemente lo vio brevemente y luego se
Sí.
metió a su parte de la casa?
Sí, de lejos no.
Yes, from afar only.
Okay. And now these next questions, I just have to ask them, did you kill that dog?
Ahora estas próximas preguntas yo tengo que hacérselas. ¿Usted mató a ese perro?
No,
No.
Did you cut that dog's head off?
¿Usted le cortó la cabeza a ese perro?
no.
No.
I have no further questions.
No
Your
tengo
Honor.
ninguna otra pregunta, su señoría.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Segundo interrogatorio.
Good morning, Ms. Conde.
Buenos días, señora Conde.
Buenos días.
I just
Good
wanted
morning.
to clarify, you stated when you got home, you saw the dog in the yard?
Solo quiero aclarar, ¿usted declaró que cuando llegó a casa vio al perro en el patio?
Sí.
Yes.
No further questions.
No tengo ninguna otra pregunta.
Redirect?
Redirecto.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Ninguna otra pregunta, su señoría.
Thank you, ma'am. You may
Gracias, señora.
step down.
Usted puede
You're
bajarse.
excused. Have
Y
a
está
great day.
excusada. Que tenga un buen día.
State, call your next witness, please.
Oh.
The state calls Tanya Marlene Rodriguez.
At this point, Judge, I want to object to cumulative relevance. This is cumulative evidence at this point.
Cumulative irrelevance?
Yes.
Overruled.
She also will need the services.
Right this way, please. Please stand here. Face the clerk. Raise your right hand, take the oath.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, okay. Have a seat. You can pull the chair forward and speak in loud voice for the
Voy a
court.
acercar la silla hacia adelante y hablar en voz alta para el tribunal.
And you may inquire.
Thank you.
Puede hacer las preguntas.
Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself by saying and spelling your name?
Buenos días, puede presentarse dando su nombre y deletreándolo.
Buenos días, me llamo Tania Martínez Rodríguez.
Good morning, my name is Tanya Marlene Rodriguez Rodriguez.
Tania
Tania
Marleni.
Marleny
Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez, are you related to Domingo Rodriguez?
¿Tiene usted relación o parentesco con el señor Rodríguez?
Sí, es mi hermano.
Yes, he is my brother.
And do you live with Domingo Rodriguez?
¿Vive usted con el señor Domingo Rodríguez?
No,
No.
Where is your home? What is
¿Dónde-
the address?
¿Cuál es su dirección de habitación?
mi dirección es 4340 72 ND, Avenida Norte, Pinellas County.
My address is 4340 72 Avenue, 72nd Avenue, North Pinellas Park.
Did you learn eventually that your brother adopted a dog?
¿Se enteró usted eventualmente de que su hermano adoptó un perro?
Sí,
Yes.
Did you learn about this before or after police became involved in the case?
¿Se enteró usted de esto antes o después de que la policía se involucrara en el caso?
después,
After.
Did you ever meet a dog that your brother had adopted?
¿Alguna vez usted conoció a un perro que su hermano hubiese adoptado?
bueno, aquí no, pero en Cuba sí él tuvo animales.
Well, not here, but in Cuba he did have animals.
But here in the United States, have you ever met specifically the dog that would have been adopted in May 2024?
Pero aquí en Estados Unidos, ¿conoció usted específicamente el perro que él habría adoptado
No,
en
no,
mayo de
no, yo no lo
2024?
conocí, no lo conocí,
No, I didn't meet him. No,
nunca lo vi.
I never saw it.
You didn't cut the head off of that dog.
¿Usted no le cortó la cabeza a ese perro?
Oh, claro que no.
Oh, of course not.
No further questions.
Also
No hay más
stand in
preguntas.
previous objection.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Voy a conceder la objeción anterior. Podemos acercarnos.
I like how the translator translates everything that's going on to the witness, because that is the correct way to do it. And thanks to this recapping, skip ahead. Ooh, hold on. Sidebar counter. 1.
Cerrar, señora Beltrán.
Ms. Rodriguez, are you aware that, or of your brother going to your home on the night of May 10th, going into May 11th, 2024?
Señora Rodríguez, ¿está usted al tanto de que su hermano hubiese ido a su casa entre el 10 de mayo y el 11 de mayo?
Bueno, fecha exacta no te puedo decir porque él nos visita cada rato. No te sé decir una fecha exacta, pero sí hablamos y incluso él me dijo del cumpleaños de él y que los muchachos querían hacer una actividad por el día de su cumpleaños y el día de las madres. Pero fecha exacta de decirte que hablamos, no te sé decir porque hablamos a menudo.
I can't give you an exact date, but we do talk, and yes, we spoke. He wanted to talk to me about his upcoming birthday, and he wanted to do some activity with the boys, with the children, and for Mother's Day. So I can't give you an exact date, but we do talk often.
Yes.
¿Me permite hablar?
No further questions.
No más preguntas en este momento.
Ma'am, on direct examination, you were asked a question in which you responded to that you've known my client to have dogs in Cuba. Do you remember that?
En el primer interrogatorio se le hizo una pregunta donde usted respondió que usted sí sabía que su hermano tenía perros en Cuba. ¿Usted recuerda eso?
Sí.
Was these
Yes.
pets? Pets?
¿Eran mascotas?
Sí.
Objection,
Yes.
Nosotros
objeción.
desde niños.
What's your objection?
relevance, propensity.
Por la relevancia, es
As
una
to
objeción por la
both.
relevancia denegada a ambas.
Have you ever had personal knowledge of my client abusing or acting cruelly to any of those animals?
Character of this.
Sustained?
May
¿Ha
we approach, Your
tenido
Honor?
usted,
No.
Other than what you've testified, do you have any other knowledge about this case?
aparte de lo que usted ha testificado, ¿tiene usted algún conocimiento adicional en este caso, sobre este caso?
Ninguno. Estoy segura que él no lo hizo.
No, I'm just certain that he didn't do it.
Nothing
Objeción,
further.
no hay más nada.
Redirect?
I'd object to the
Segundo
last
interrogatorio
response,
directo.
and ask that Your Honor strike that answer.
Objeto a la
response or to the
última
question?
pregunta, a la última respuesta de la
To the
testigo.
question and the response.
Objeto a la pregunta y a la
Overruled
respuesta,
as to the
denegada
question,
la
sustained as to the
pregunta
response.
y al lugar con respecto a la respuesta.
Any redirect?
¿Algún segundo interrogatorio directo?
No, Your Honor.
No, su señoría.
Ma'am, you may step down.
Señora,
Thank you.
¿puede usted retirarse? Gracias.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you're excused, subject to recall.
Y puede quedar excusada.
State, call your
Puede
next witness,
sujetar que
please.
se le vuelva a llamar.
Ok, fiscalía. Llamar a su próximo testigo.
Yes, Your Honor. The people of the state of Florida call Fermin Rodriguez. You will. Thank you.
They are moving through witnesses quite fast. Well, the first part of this trial is the prosecution excluding other possible suspects.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. You can have a seat right here. Pull the chair forward and speak in a loud voice for the court,
Hable en voz
please.
clara y audible para el tribunal, por favor.
May inquire.
Adelante.
Good morning, sir.
Buenos días, señor.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Sir, can you please state your name for the record and spell it?
Por favor, señor, diga su nombre para que conste en las actas y deletréelo.
Fermín Rodríguez Rodríguez.
Fermín Rodríguez Rodríguez.
Fermin.
Fermin.
And then Rodriguez, is that spelled Rodriguez?
Y Rodríguez se deletrea Rodriguez. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, are you related to Domingo Rodriguez?
Señor, ¿es usted pariente de Domingo Rodríguez?
Hermano.
Brother.
Do you live with Domingo
¿Vive
Rodriguez?
usted con Domingo Rodríguez?
No.
No.
Do you live at the address 4340 72nd Avenue North, Pinellas Park?
Yes.
¿Usted vive en la dirección 4340 72 Avenida Norte, Pinellas Park?
Yes.
Yes.
Were you living there on May 10th and May 11th, 2024?
¿Usted estaba viviendo ahí el 10 y el 11 de mayo del 2024?
Sí.
Yes.
Now, the night of May 10th, 2024, going into the early morning, May 11th, 2024, did your brother ever go over to your house?
Ahora, la noche del 10 de mayo del 2024 hasta las tempranas horas de la mañana del 11 de mayo del 2024, ¿su hermano en algún momento fue a su casa?
No.
No.
What they are doing now is also limiting the defense in. I do believe this relates to stuff that Domingo Rodriguez have said in interviews and interrogations with the police. So this is just getting ahead of anything the defense might throw at it.
Never went to your house?
¿Nunca fue a su casa? No.
Are you aware of your brother adopting a dog?
¿Está usted al tanto de que su hermano adoptó un perro?
No.
No.
You don't know that your brother adopted a dog?
¿Usted no sabe que su hermano adoptó un perro?
No, tampoco voy a hacer.
¿Perdón?
Que no.
No, no.
Okay. And so because you don't know about it, you didn't kill the dog, did you?
Y como usted no sabe sobre eso, usted no mató al perro, ¿verdad?
No. Me voy a matar si no vi el perro.
No, how would I kill a dog I didn't see?
Right. And you're laughing, but you didn't cut the dog's head off either, right?
Y usted se está riendo, pero usted tampoco no le cortó la cabeza al perro, ¿verdad?
No.
No.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Ninguna otra pregunta.
Cross?
Contrainterrogatorio.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Bueno,
Good morning.
Do you see your brother?
¿Usted ve a su
Yes.
hermano? Yes.
Have you ever been told that you guys look alike?
¿Alguna vez le han dicho que ustedes se parecen?
sí.
Yes.
You were asked about specific dates, May 10th, May 11th. You remember that question by the prosecutor?
Le preguntaron sobre las fechas específicas, el 10 de mayo, el 11 de mayo. ¿Usted recuerda esa pregunta?
Sí.
Yes.
What time do you usually go to bed?
¿A qué hora normalmente usted se va a dormir?
Bueno, yo trabajo toda de noche.
Well, I work all until the night.
So you weren't at your house at that time?
Así que usted no estaba en su casa en ese momento.
Bueno, el día específico sí, no sé si sería ese día que yo estaba en la casa, ¿no? Porque
Well, that specific date, I don't know if I was in the house or not.
What's your normal work schedule?
¿Cuál es su horario de trabajo normal?
yo suelto a las 7 de la noche.
I get out at 7 p.m.
What time do you usually go to bed?
¿Y normalmente a qué hora se va a dormir usted?
Yo duermo, me pongo a ver la televisión y eso, y duermo después que pase el noticiero. y eso.
Después que pase?
El noticiero.
I start watching TV and stuff, and then I go to bed after the news.
What time would that be?
¿A qué hora sería eso?
El noticiero se termina a las 12, a las 12 más o menos me acuerdo.
The news ends around 12, so around 12 I go to bed.
Do you have any windows that lead out to the front side of your house in your bedroom?
¿Tiene usted ventanas en su dormitorio que dan hacia la parte delantera de la casa?
Sí, pero tienen cortina.
Yes, but they have curtains.
Nothing further.
Ninguna otra pregunta.
Redirect?
Redirecto.
No redirect, Your Honor.
Ningún redirecto.
Sir, thank you. You
Muy
may
bien,
step down.
señor.
It's the question about have you heard you look like your brother? Well, yeah, they are brothers. So this might be the defense saying it might have been him on camera just 25 minutes before the dog was found, before Dexter was found. But yeah, there are no direct evidence here, to my knowledge. Most of this will be circumstantial evidence. So we just have to wait and see, and then make our judgment. Have the prosecution prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Remember, folks, that's the standard even in cases where we believe the defendant is guilty and when a crime is as heinous as this one.
Gracias.
Subject to recall.
Está excusado, pero puede ser rellamado.
And the next witness, was that discussed earlier today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, members of the jury, we're going to take a quick break. We should not be too long. We're going to have you back in and resume testimony at that time. Please take the jury out.
Your turn.
Yep.
Please leave the notepads on the case and turn them upside down for me.
This is how trials should be. Short, distinct questions about facts. No cotton candy, no fluff, no boxing it in a lot of words. Here's the facts.
And then you're gonna follow with this about that.
You should be the last one.
Skipping ahead.
Yes.
Madam Interpreters, I think you've been in your help as well. So you should be the last one. Thank you.
I remember these used to be in like manila envelopes. And they used to be in manila envelopes with like the number outside so they could stick it in the envelope at the end of the night. And then they're kept somewhere and they give them back.
Right this way, please.
Por aquí, por favor.
Just take your time. You're going to just stop here. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. Receive the oath.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Right this way, please.
If you respond.
This is his wife's father, I believe.
Sir, please stop.
Here, stop. You need to face the clerk. Face the clerk.
Please translate.
He's going to receive the oath.
He does have hearing.
Are we having a hearing issue?
¿Me escucha bien por aquí? ¿Me escucha? ¿Me escucha?
I believe he's going to need a hearing device.
Speak a little louder. ¿Me escucha?
I'll swear you in, sir. Can you hear me?
¿Me escucha? ¿Me escucha? Yes, this way I can hear.
Please
you.
look at me, sir, and raise
Por
your
favor,
right hand.
Mire para allá. Levante su mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the
Jura
truth,
o
the whole
afirma
truth,
decir la
and nothing
verdad,
but the
toda la
truth?
verdad y nada más que la verdad? All the truth.
Thank you, sir. You may put
Gracias,
your
señor.
hand
Puede
down.
bajar su mano.
Please seek the witness.
Have a seat right here.
Pase para acá para sentarse.
I think the defense and prosecution should have stipulated this.
Just speak in a loud voice for the court.
Hable en voz alta para que le escuche el tribunal.
Ms. Beltran, you may inquire.
Señora Beltrán, puede hacer las preguntas. Hacia adelante.
Good morning, sir.
Buenos días, señor.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Can you please tell me your name?
¿Puede decirme su nombre, por favor?
Juan.
Juan.
Do I spell that J-U-A-N?
Se deletrea J-U-A-N.
No, no sé.
Se deletrea J-U-A-N. Juan.
No sé, yo soy analfabeto.
I can't read. I don't know how to read.
What is your last name?
¿Cuál es su apellido?
Conde.
Conde.
Do you have another last name?
¿Tiene usted otro apellido?
Marco.
¿Cómo? ¿Marco?
Marco.
Marcos.
Do you have a son?
¿Tiene usted un hijo?
Mm,
¿Usted tiene un hijo?
6.
6.
And of those 6, how many are men?
Y de esos 6 hijos, ¿cuántos son varones?
1.
1.
Do you have a son named Domingo?
¿Tiene un hijo que se llama Domingo?
Bien.
That's my mistake. Do you have a son named Fermín?
Usted tiene un hijo llamado Fermín.
No me acuerdo.
I don't remember.
That's my mistake. Is Domingo somebody who's related to you by marriage?
Domingo es pariente de usted por matrimonio.
Sí.
Yes.
Who is he married to?
¿Con quién está casado él?
Una hija mía.
With one of my daughters.
Which daughter?
¿Cuál hija?
Marlene.
Nesleni.
Disregarding my questions about the names of your sons, can you please give me the name of your biological son?
Vamos a olvidar la pregunta que le hice de sus hijos. ¿Me puede decir el nombre de su hijo biológico? ¿Su hijo? ¿El nombre de su hijo?
The one male that you had stated you
No
had.
me acuerdo.
El hijo que usted dijo que tenía, el hijo varón que usted tiene.
Directo. No me acuerdo.
Roberto, I don't remember. No, I don't recall.
No me acuerdo.
I don't remember.
Do you know where you are now?
¿Sabe usted dónde está ahorita?
Do you know what?
Let the record reflect that he shook his head no.
Thank you, sir.
No, he said no.
May I have a moment from Your Honor?
Yes.
Me da un momento, por favor, su señoría.
Your Honor, we'll concede at this time that we will not be calling him as a witness.
Will not be calling him as a witness.
Correct.
No lo vamos a
And
llamar
does the
como
defense wish
testigo.
to call
¿Estamos de
this person as a
acuerdo?
witness?
Absolutely.
La defensa desea llamarlo como testigo. Totalmente no. Su
Sir,
señoría.
thank you for being here
Señor,
today.
gracias por haber venido hoy.
You may step down and leave the courtroom.
Usted puede salir de la sala del tribunal.
We're going to take a 10-minute comfort break.
Vamos a
And I'll
tomar
see you all in
un
10 minutes.
receso de 10 minutos y nos vuelven
All
a
right.
10 minutos, todos de pie.
Circuit court is in session.
Se levanta la sesión del tribunal.
Behind you.
Yeah. Again, thank you for tuning in. Remember to hit the thumbs up. And the prosecution here, continuing to exclude other possible suspects. Let's skip ahead.
So like you need the envelope? Yeah. He signed it. Witnesses.
And all right, this is the inexperience of Fox 13 Tampa Bay. So now here they 10-minute break, which then turned into a longer break. And sorry. This one.
Evening, specific time, probably around.
And then they didn't turn the camera on in time for this new witness.
4 or 5-ish o'clock.
Okay. Now, in that area where you go fishing in at East Beach,
This is
what
one
is
of the guys who
what does that
found
area
the
look
dog.
like? Is there vegetation? Is there sand, rocks?
Yeah, so when you go out there, it's a lot of mangrove cover, but it eventually opens up on the right side.
We don't know the name of him,
it's got a
but
big
he is one of
sandy
the
beach area,
guys who
and then on the left
found
side, it's a lot more mangroves
Dexter.
with little fishing cutouts.
What do you mean a fishing cutout?
In the mangroves, there's kind of like just a area. It's a small clearing where you can walk through the mangroves to get access to the water.
Now, in that mangrove area, are there bugs or other wildlife?
Oh yeah, you'll see raccoons out there, crabs, fiddler crabs, mangrove crabs, plenty of insects living in the mangroves.
You see fish out there, hopefully?
Hopefully.
Your Honor, permission to approach the clerk?
Granted.
And permission to approach the witness.
This not the sidebar.
Okay. Mr. Bristol, I'm handing you what's been pre-marked for.
Okay, I have an update on the short update here about the Delphi case. You know, I've been covering that for, Jesus Christ, almost 2 years now. Now we find out not only one phone that was geofenced at the location of Abby's and Libby's murder, but 2 phones were geofenced, 2 different people, 2 phones, or one person with 2 phones, geofenced at Abby's and Libby's where they were killed, were also geofenced at in the 2012 disappearance of Lyric and Elizabeth in Iowa. If you're wondering what that case is, there is a series on, I believe it is on Amazon, called Taken Together. That is the case about Lyric and Elizabeth. So how come we and apparently the defense only learned about this after the trial and conviction? Because folks, now it seems like the Delphi case and the Taken Together case are connected. We are looking at a serial killer here. Serial killer. Where were Ron Logan in 2012? I don't know. Where were Elvis Fields in 2012? We don't know. We just found this out, that 2 phones, 5 years apart, are connected to the disappearance of 2 girls aged 8 and 10 and the murders of Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana. I will make video stream or something about this tomorrow. I just wanted to get ahead of it and make sure that, okay, I will say it like this. Tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, I will start that stream. I will make half an hour up to an hour before I continue with this trial tomorrow. So if you're here now, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, tune in for updates on the Delphi case. All right, back to trial.
Identification as states 2A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And also, let's start with those. Go ahead and take a look at that, please. Do you recognize 2A?
2A, yeah, that's the end of the point where it kind of leads to just a little roundabout section for you to turn around and go back.
Go ahead and go through the rest of them, please.
Okay. Describe what I'm
You can
seeing.
just take a look at them first.
Okay.
And I apologize, I did not provide or show defense counsel. I'm handing copies to defense counsel right now. Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Russo.
this kid was
Now
just
that you look
out
at
to
2A through
go
G,
fishing.
what do you
and
generally,
found
what
a
do you
decapitated dog.
recognize those?
Yeah, that's the area where we went fishing, and I normally go fishing. I believe, I don't remember which picture specifically it was, but it definitely showed the little mangrove area with the cutout that we access to go fishing.
Now, do each of these photos fairly and accurately depict the Fort DeSoto fishing area and the area surrounding that area, the fishing spot that you went to on May 14, 2024?
Correct, yes.
Permission to, or at this time, the state would move into evidence states 2A through 2G.
Defense?
No objection.
Will be admitted as marked.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
If you have social media, please find me on X and help me share these streams.
Now I will have you briefly describe 2A, please.
Okay, so that's the end of the East Beach at Fort DeSoto. It's just the little curved road. It's facing towards the Gulf side. So, well, the input from the Gulf, and so it's a bit sandier, but on the other side, you'll end up seeing mangroves.
Looking at 2B, is this just another angle of the same?
Yeah, same thing. Over on the left side of the picture is the sandy area, and the right side of the picture is the mangrove cover.
Looking at 2C, is this, what is this? Where are we getting close to in this?
So that photo is the mangrove cover that I think you can see the palm tree right there. That's kind of like with the little wood posts. That's the area where the cutout for access to the water is.
Would it assist you if I could give you a pointer to identify certain spots?
Sure.
Permission to approach him?
Yes.
Am I allowed to stand?
Yeah. May the witness stand?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now we're looking at 2D. If it helps you to stand and
Okay,
use
well,
that pointer, go ahead, please. What are we looking at here?
That one's pretty easy. That's the mangrove cutout that I was just describing. That's where we go to access the beach area.
Do you walk down that little pathway?
Correct, yes.
Now I'm gonna go relatively quickly through the next two. Here are we just seeing the mangroves in that area?
Yeah, yep. And that's just off to the left side of the cutout.
And 2F?
Same thing, just a bit deeper in the left side of the cutout.
And 2G?
2G, that's water, and that's like about the general vicinity where the bag was at. That's looking from the shoreline into the water by where the roots meet the water for the mangroves.
Okay, we're gonna come back to this one. Now you mentioned bag. I'm gonna back up just a bit. When you were out there that day, did you notice anything unusual?
Yeah, so when we first got.
Hold on while I just check so we are not approaching one of the times where they show. I'm just checking here when it is. Okay.
Got out there, we set
We're
up
safe for
our
now.
fishing lines and everything, and got out there, probably no more than 3 minutes. I looked over to my left and noticed a transparent kind of opaque trash bag floating in the water, and it was very obvious that there was stuff inside it.
When you say stuff, what was, when you first saw it, what was obvious about, or what kind of stuff?
So the first thing I saw, it was very stiff, and you could see like the thigh area of an animal.
Okay.
And so I turned to my friend Tyler, who was out fishing with me, and I got his attention. I was like, I think there's an animal in that bag over there.
What did you do next?
So Tyler and I just got a little bit closer to it just to confirm, and we realized, yeah, that's got a bit closer. Realized there was more, and it was a dog. And so we both walked back to shore. Tyler got his phone and called the authorities.
Okay. And once those, did anybody arrive in response to that call?
Yeah, we had one deputy arrived, and then eventually 2 park rangers from Fort DeSoto.
Now, when you first saw the bag, was it like a sealed bag? Can you describe it a little bit more, please?
I mean, it was a clear or like opaque trash bag, so it was tied off at the end and everything. But I mean, it had water in it, so it was able to stay afloat because it trapped air from it being tied off, but it was a little bit submerged.
Okay. So were there any holes or anything?
From what I was aware, a little bit. Water had to have gotten in somehow.
Okay. Permission to approach the clerk?
Granted.
Okay, folks, there will be pictures of when they found Dexter. There are no close-up pictures in the next 15 to 20 minutes, but there will be pictures, and we know who's in that plastic, in that garbage bag. It's Dexter. So trigger warning, just in case.
Permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
All right, I'm handing you what's been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is this?
That is a flash drive that.
Does this contain photos?
Yeah.
And do these photos depict the bag and the area where you found the bag?
Correct.
Do they fairly and accurately depict that area?
Yeah.
This time the state would move into evidence State's Exhibit 4 for identification as State's Exhibit 3.
Defense?
No objection.
Be admitted as marked.
Okay, as State's Exhibit 4.
Any objection?
For publication?
For admission?
Oh, no objection.
Admitted?
And permission to publish.
Granted.
Looking here, who is in this photo, if you know?
That is the deputy that was called and one of the park rangers, and they are looking at the bag that was pulled in, containing the body.
Okay. Now looking at this photo, was this prior to them pulling it out? I think we might be working a little bit backwards chronologically.
Yeah, that's after we pulled it out. That's just it. The bag with the body sitting on the shoreline.
Is that how the bag appeared when you initially saw it?
Yeah, it was kind of floating on its back instead, with the legs a bit more up towards the sky. It wasn't on its side.
And where was it?
Off to the left side of the cutout, probably about 15, 20 feet away.
Okay. Let's see the next one. What is this showing here?
That you can see, like right there, is the bag that's been caught up in the roots of the mangrove.
Do you know who took these photos?
My friend Tyler.
And was that at the time that you guys had observed the bag?
Yeah. well, not exactly at the time, but just shortly after we had called the authorities first.
And this photo?
The same thing, it's a bit closer up. You can see the bag just nestled into behind the leaves of the mangroves.
And what does this show?
And that is me using a stick to pull the bag towards the shore. Same thing, I guess a bit better shot of me holding the stick to move the bag in.
When you move the bag with that stick, do you know if it ripped or anything, or were you able to do it gently?
From what I was aware of, I didn't rip the bag.
Okay.
I didn't really try to do too much pressure on it because I didn't know how long it had been there. Didn't want to like make it smelly if it was decomposed.
Now, where did you find that stick?
Just within the mangroves, just nearby. I had gotten out there and the authorities had given me gloves, but I still didn't want to just touch it with my hands. So I just looked into the mangroves a little bit just to find a loose stick that was there.
I apologize, Your Honor. Permission to approach the
Grant.
Looking again at states 2G. Does this area look familiar?
Yeah, that's about the, like within about the general area of where the bag was. That kind of like that curved branch that's kind of like hanging out over the water. It was kind of like, that's like the one that was out in the previous photos that was covering the area that was being like foliage covered.
And looking a little bit closer, do we see any of those? Sorry, I'm trying to frame myself in here. Any of those crabs you were talking about?
Bottom left corner, little black spot on the tree trunk.
Would you mind using the pointer?
Yeah. And that's a little mangrove crab.
Do you see those often?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place down there.
After you pulled the bag towards the shore, what happened with the bag?
Afterwards, the park rangers eventually came out with the big old black trash bags, and they moved the body with the bag into that trash bag.
Based on your observations, do you know why they did that?
The bag had a little bit of rips in it.
And when you say the bag had rips, which one?
The transparent bag that it was originally in.
When you were out there, did you ever see, well, let me ask you this. What did you notice, if anything, about the dog's body itself?
So as I was bringing the body in, I noticed that it was a bit shorter than it should have been. And as it kind of rotated, I realized it did not have a head.
Did you ever find the head or see the head?
No, didn't find it, didn't look for it.
After that, did you guys stay out there to continue fishing, or your attempts to fish?
Tyler and I moved over to the right side of Fort DeSoto to the pier, but we didn't stay very long afterwards.
Moment to convert.
Yes.
No further questions at this time.
Thank you, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. May I inquire?
Yes.
Jared, may I call you Jared?
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Sure.
You're here with mom and grandma today?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you some questions about your testimony, okay?
Okay.
You testified when shown some of these pictures, and just a second, I'm going to bring them up for you to review again. You said that the bag was about 15 to 20 feet away, correct?
Yeah.
And that was, if you're looking out into the water from that clearing, that would have been on the left side?
Yeah.
Was that 15, 20 feet away in the water or brushed up against the mangroves?
brushed up against the mangrove. So like you go out there and like once you get past the mangrove line, if you just immediately look left, it was about that way.
How deep is that water at that time?
Depending on the tide, but I mean, it can get to be about like waist height or so.
Now, when you were out there and you noticed the bag, you were on a kayak?
We were wading out there in the water. We were not in a kayak.
Did you have any special apparel on?
No, I had shorts and a t-shirt.
About how high on your body did you get wet?
I mean, it showed in the pictures, but I think it was probably about to like my like
Let the
lower thigh.
Let the record reflect that he was pointing to his the part of the thigh he just testified to. Now, is it your testimony that somebody would be able to get to that portion of the mangroves by foot?
Yeah.
They would have to get wet, though,
Yeah,
correct?
they'd have to get. I mean, they could probably walk through the mangroves. I mean, they're not super dense out there.
Now, you would agree with me that the tide was coming into the mangroves at around this time, correct?
I mean, I'm not familiar if it was I don't know if it was high or low tide. I'm sure if you bring the pictures back up, I could tell you a bit better because you'd be able to see where the tide line is, but.
This kid is good on the stand.
May I approach the clerk?
Yes.
I think we have it in as forward. Just do 1 5. Yeah, there we go. Do you see this picture? It's been entered into evidence already.
Yeah.
Based upon this picture, would you be able to tell if the tide was coming in or going out?
Do you have that picture of the bag being on the shoreline? Because I can tell by the residual from the leaves on
I'm
the
sure the
ground.
state heard you. They've been very gracious enough to put this.
There we go.
pictures up.
Okay. So it looks like it's actually a bit more on low tide right now. So the tide would have been going out.
Okay. Now, you've been there a lot, correct?
Yeah.
How would you describe the geography of that east tip area?
I mean, it's pretty flat, sandy in some areas with just open, no cover, while other areas are pretty marshy, mangrove swampy with plenty of tree cover.
Now, you'd agree with me that the tides are going in and out?
Yeah, the tides, it's the entrance to the Gulf, then Tampa Bay and everything. So the Gulf brings water in and then eventually will bring out water out with the tides.
Now, you can't tell us how long that bag has been there, correct?
Not that I know.
And you can't tell us if the bag was left there at that specific position in the mangroves, as opposed to being out in the water and then being brought in with the tides, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Come again?
there's plenty of possibility that could have happened.
And you didn't see anybody drop this bag off?
No.
Now, when you said that you were using the stick to bring the bag in, was that at the direction of somebody, or did you decide to
That
do
was
that on your own?
myself not wanting to touch it.
No, but did somebody tell you to bring the bag in?
Oh yeah. The officer, the deputy told us to bring it in. He was in uniform, so he couldn't get in the water, and I had already been out there, so my shorts were already wet.
And you testified that you first came across the bag around 4 or 5 o'clock?
believe so. If my memory's correct, sure.
I have a moment to confirm.
Yes, sir.
Based on your familiarity with the tides in that area, is it possible that somebody could have initially left that bag, brought the dog out there, put it in the bag, and then deposited it in the water, and it could have floated out and then floated back in?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of different currents out there that could have put a bunch of different drop-off points. I'm not completely familiar with the tides myself of like how currents work in that area, but yeah.
You would say that that's possible?
Yeah, it didn't have to be placed specifically there. It could have been put somewhere else.
Recross.
Moment to confirm.
I don't think this is the guy to ask those questions from. Yeah, he is somewhat familiar with the place. He knows about the tides, but when it comes to drop off and founding, that should be from somebody who actually investigated it, not from this kid.
I apologize.
No further questions.
One to recross.
Are you addressing the court, sir?
Yes, sir. If I may
What's your
recross on the
request?
question.
Yes, go ahead.
That last question, you said that there was multiple drop-off points, correct?
Sure. I mean, like he could have, I mean, whoever did it could have just put it in the Gulf on the beach side and the currents took it in. They could have put it over by Skyway and the tides brought it out and it just eventually come there. I mean, it's a big waterway area. There's plenty of places to put anything in there. You drop a can in the water and it'll float wherever.
No further questions.
Thank you. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you can step down. You're excused.
The state's okay with releasing him.
All right, you are released subject to a recall. Have a nice day. Call your next witness, please.
Yes, sir. The people of the state of Florida call Mark Wartola.
Right this way, please. If you'll just please stand right here. You're gonna face the clerk, raise your right hand, thank you.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Just have a seat right here. And pull the chair all the way forward and just speak loudly for the court.
May it please the court?
Yes, sir, you may inquire.
Mark Wartola.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and spell your name for the record?
M-A-R-K, Brian, B-R-A-I-N, W-A-R-C-H-O-L-A, Wartola.
All right, now, Mr. Wartola, where do you work?
Fort DeSoto Park.
How long have you been working there?
31 years and 7 months.
Can you explain to the members of the jury what sort of duties, responsibilities that you've got as a park ranger out at Fort DeSoto?
I am the night ranger. I also do custodial work and light maintenance work as well.
Now, I want to talk with you. Were you working on May 14th, 2024 out at Fort DeSoto?
Yes, I was.
What capacity were you working that day? Starting your night shift?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain to the members of the jury, did anything odd happen while you were working that shift?
A call came across the radio for a deputy assist.
And what does that mean, deputy assist?
That means that the deputy would like you to come down there and help him out.
Okay, and just so I'm clear, that means that a deputy had been out there and they're calling you to as a park ranger, go out and help him out, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so did you go out to wherever the deputy needed you?
I went to, yes, I did. It was East Tip.
Can you explain to the members of the jury a little bit about the East Tip?
The East Tip in that section of the road runs east to west. The right side of the road is a scenic overlook of Skyway Bridge, and the left side of the road would be a shoreline with mangroves.
Now, over on the East Tip, are there any concession stands?
No, there are not.
Are there parking lots?
Just pull off the side of the road, dirt patches.
Okay. And so I'm clear, in other parts of Fort DeSoto, there's actual parking lots, right?
Correct.
Where people go and pay for parking?
Yes.
But over on the East Tip, are there those same parking lots?
No.
You're saying that people will just pull off on the side of the road and park their cars
Yes.
there? Concession stand, no concession stands, no convenience stores?
No.
Would you describe that part of Fort DeSoto Beach, the East Tip, as a secluded part of the beach?
The left side of the road and the very end of it is secluded.
And why is that?
It's mangrove shoreline.
Okay. Now, going back to May 14th, May 14th, 2024, whenever you got out to the East Tip for the deputy assist, can you describe the scene to the members of the jury whenever you got out there?
Well, the deputy was parked on the side of the road, and there were two young men, individuals, fishermen.
Okay, brief stop here. I need to check to see if, yeah, so in a few minutes, they will actually show the garbage bag with Dexter in it. At that point in time, I will, for instance, now you see it like this. Just before it happens, I'm going to do this. First of all, there's no need for us, and then I like to keep my channel.
Standing there.
Okay. Thank you. And can you describe the reason for getting called out there?
It was a body of a dog in a bag.
Your Honor, permission to approach the clerk?
Granted.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with an exhibit?
Granted.
Shown defense was marked for identification as State's Exhibit 3. Mr. Marshall, I'm handing you what's been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 3. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain what it is?
It is a deceased animal inside of a black plastic bag.
Is this the deceased animal? Is that the reason why you went out to East Tip?
Yes, it was.
Okay, in this picture, is this a fair and accurate representation of the animal in the bag whenever you saw it?
It was in a different bag.
Okay, but so the animal, can you explain that a little bit?
Okay, so when I seen the animal, it was in a clear plastic bag with some rips and tears in it. And it was placed in that bag because it was falling through the bag that it was in.
So just so I'm clear, the black bag was a secondary bag after we realized that there's some holes and stuff in the transparent plastic bag.
Correct.
And so is this a fair and accurate representation of the dog that you saw at some point in the day?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state offers into evidence what's been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 3 as State's Exhibit 3.
Defense? It'll be admitted as marked.
Okay.
Members of the jury in it.
Now I'm covering because they are going to show this to the jury. And Fox 13 camera guy decided, yay, I'm going to zoom in on that. I say it's inexperience because there's no need for us to actually see it.
And Mr. Warchola, I'm showing you and publishing to the members of the jury what's now in
Yeah,
evidence as
you don't
State's-
want to see it.
as State's Exhibit 3.
You really don't.
Can you kind of just describe to the members of the jury what it is that we're looking at?
You're looking at a deceased animal that's had its head cut off.
Now, earlier we were talking about the transparent bag versus the black plastic bag. Do you recognize, or do you see in this photograph the clear plastic bag kind of tucked under the dog?
Yes, I do.
Do you mind standing up and pointing that out to the members of the jury? Okay. And so just to be clear, you can go grab a seat. Thank you, sir. And so to be clear, was the dog in the plastic bag, the original plastic bag, were they contained in this larger black plastic bag?
Yes.
Everything was put into the black plastic bag?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Trigger warning
Mr.
over.
Warchola, did you have any other involvement in this case after you went out to East Tip and spoke with the deputies?
I put it in the bag and then it was transported to our maintenance road out of public view.
Do you know who transported that? Was it somebody with animal services?
I believe it. I don't recall.
Okay, if you don't recall, that's fine. If you don't
Yeah,
remember,
don't
that's
recall.
okay too. Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross?
Yes, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Warchola. On May 14th, when you came across the bag with the body in it, you didn't conduct any additional interviews with anyone there?
No, I did not talk to anybody else. The gentleman had left. They took off.
And by the gentleman, you mean the young man who was fishing?
The fisherman, yes.
And you didn't see the dog until it was brought to shore, correct? You didn't see it when it was out in the water?
No, I did not.
How many other park rangers were present with you at that time?
No other park rangers were with me.
And did you discuss what you thought may have happened with the officers in this case?
Briefly,
What did you tell them?
I said it appears to be an animal with its head chopped off.
Moment to confer.
Granted.
Were there any additional park rangers on duty that day?
Yes, there was.
And did they tell you anything about what happened?
No, they did not.
Overruled.
No further questions, Judge.
Thank you. All right. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Mr. Warchola, out in East Tip in that main road area, are there any, animals that are out there?
Yes, there are.
What kind of animals?
You have fiddler crabs, mangrove crabs, spider crabs, blue crabs, stone crabs, as well as snails, raccoons, possums, birds, fish, sharks.
Fair to say a lot of wildlife?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Sir, you may step down. Your excuse subject to recall. Thank you. State claims witness.
The state calls Annika Wooten.
It's not. This isn't even a fast-moving trial. This is how trials usually are. These are the facts. Direct examination, cross-examination, redirect, recross if needed.
Okay, stand right here. Face the clerk. Raise your right hand and repeat these.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
You can just please have a seat. You're going to pull the chair all the way forward and just speak in a loud voice for the court.
All right, you may what?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think we just hit 12. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury by spelling your first and last name?
Annika Wooten, ANNIKA WOOTEN.
And where do you work?
I work at Pinellas County Animal Services.
What is your position there?
I'm an animal control officer.
Now, you're an officer. Are you sworn law enforcement?
No.
But do you still have the title officer?
Yes.
Officer Wooten, how long have you been with Animal Services?
A little over a year.
And what is your, what are the tasks that you do, or what does the position entail as an animal control officer?
We run calls that vary in what we do. It ranges from code enforcement for local county ordinances to navigating animal cruelty cases, or just educating the public on things like leash laws and public nuisance ordinances in the county.
Are you personally assigned to a specific area in the county, or how does that work?
We are assigned zones in the county depending on where we are. So that can range from zone 1, which is all the way down in South St. Pete, up to areas like Tarpon Springs, which would be zone 6.
And when you say we, do you mean each individual animal control officer?
Yes.
And the animal services as a whole, can they respond to the entire county?
Yes.
Back in May 14, 2024, what position did you hold then?
Animal control officer.
The same position you have now?
Yes.
And on that day, do you know if you worked?
Yes.
What time would your shift have started?
It would have started at 7 a.m.
And ended?
At 5:30 p.m.
Towards the end of your shift, did you get a call?
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did you get assigned that call?
So I was working standby that night, which means that we're on call. We take a phone and a truck home in case any emergency calls come in overnight. We were called in, we received a call around 4:45, I believe, that requested an officer meet sheriff's office deputies down at Fort DeSoto.
Generally, what was that call in reference to?
The call was in reference to that someone at Fort DeSoto had found a deceased dog, and the deputies were requesting that an officer come down and scan the dog for a microchip.
All right. May I have permission to approach the clerk?
Granted.
I'm handing defense counsel a copy of states pre-marked 5A, B, C, and D. Permission to approach the witness.
Granted.
Officer Wooten, looking at 5A, do you recognize that photo?
Yes.
And what does that depict?
That is one of the animal services trucks.
Is that the one you were operating on May 14, 2024?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of that truck?
Yes.
And looking at states 5C and 5D, do you recognize what is depicted in those photos?
Yes.
And what is depicted in those photos?
The handheld part of the microchip scanner.
I'm sorry, can you speak up a little? Does it pay the microchip scanner?
The handheld part of the microchip scanner.
Okay. And this 5D?
Yes.
That is also the same?
Yes.
Does that fairly and accurately depict the microchip scanner that you have?
Yes.
And looking at 5B for identification, what are we looking at here?
That is the body of the dog that we were called down to examine.
Ultimately, did you recover that body?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of that body?
Yes.
At this time, the state offers for admission into evidence states 5A, B, C, and D.
Yes, we have an objection. Can I approach?
Sure.
All right. Here we have sidebar counter. Woo! Yeah, trial is moving forward as it should. Bringing in the people to talk only about the things they actually know about. Well, except the fisherman who was asked about the current. But other than that, it is refreshing to see a trial which is based on the known facts. Hey, look at that. Love versus Money became a YouTube member. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Let me I think you have been a member if you were gifted a membership last time. I don't know, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if anybody else is thinking about it, it's $3 a month, and you get access to all the members only content on YouTube, and your own emojis here on YouTube. And also, I will post a link to my Discord where you can discuss with the other members the cases I'm covering and stuff like that. Thank you again. Love versus Mommy 60.
Objection is overruled. The evidence is admitted as marked.
Let me just check again to see what they are actually showing. No, it's just a scanner. How they know it's actually Dexter the dog. Luckily, he was chipped.
Looking at State's Exhibit 5C. All right, Officer Wooten, if you could just look to your right. What does 5C depict?
That is the backside of the handheld part of the microchip scanner.
And can you tell me a little bit about a microchip scanner? What is that? What is this? Well, let's talk first about microchips. When it comes to animals, what are microchips used for?
Microchips are used to hold identification information, either the animal's information or the owner's information, or both, depending on the company.
Now, do you know who inserts microchips into animals?
Generally, it's vet technicians. I believe the animal services representatives at our shelter also administer them, but from what I know, other than that, it's generally just vet technicians.
Do you know how they are inserted?
With a syringe and a large needle.
Is it standard practice, to your knowledge, for animal services personnel to chip the dogs that come into their facility?
When they are adopted out.
Okay. So the dogs that are being put up for adoption?
Yes.
And now, are there other, as opposed to what? Are there other dogs who maybe are coming in not for adoption?
If a dog comes in and is not deemed adoptable, we would not microchip them.
Is that also perhaps include dogs that are stray dogs that you have yet to determine an odor?
Yes.
Do the microchips that Animal Services, that Pinellas County Animal Services uses, do those contain GPS devices?
No.
Is it fair to say that they simply store information
Yes.
related to the dog and owner?
Yes.
All right, so going back to when you first arrived, what did you see?
When I first arrived, there was Pinellas County Sheriff's Deputy Rosenberg and a Fort DeSoto Park Ranger on a side road. The park ranger had a bag in the back of his truck with the body of the dog.
What did that bag look like?
It was a black trash bag.
And what did you do with that bag, if anything?
I helped to move it from the back of the truck to the ground to better examine the dog and scan for a microchip.
When you say examine the dog, for what purpose?
To see the injuries of the dog, to see if there's any possible things to either take pictures of or to also impound anything that the dog was found with or the dog's body itself.
Now, is it standard for animal services to come and recover deceased animal remains or carcasses?
It depends on the situation. For things like this, usually officers check in with their supervisors to see what they want to do with the remains.
But it's not uncommon that you would be called to a dead animal. Is that correct?
No.
Oh, that's a good point, Chicken. She says, I bet he thought the ship was on the ear. That's why he cut the head off. Yeah. Might be it. Might be it. So that's actually very, very probable.
Tell me when you When you went to examine the dog, how exactly did you do it? Walk us through that if you don't mind.
After moving the bag that had the dog in it to the ground, we opened up the top of it just to scan for the microchip. The first thing that I did was scan the dog for a microchip. Once we determined that it did have a microchip, we moved the dog onto some paper just to help prevent anything from getting onto the road, and opened the bag more to get pictures of initially what the dog looked like with the bag in it. Eventually, we did move the dog out of the bag to get pictures of all angles of the body and also of the bag that the dog was found in.
Now, when you say you scan for the microchip, how does that work?
There's a wand attached to the other end of the microchip. You hold down a button and wave it over the animal's body. It works similar to a metal detecting wand at a security checkpoint. Just when the wand picks up where the microchip is, it lets out a sound to let you know, and it shows the number that the microchip has registered to it.
Did that happen in this case?
Yes.
Looking at State's Exhibit 5D, what are we looking at here?
That is the number that showed up when the wand was waved over the dog's body.
Now, where do you wave it over the dog's body? What area of the dog?
We wave it over the entire animal's body. The chip is generally found towards the nape between the shoulder blades, but we check everywhere just in case the chip is moved after implanting.
And do you know where the implantation site normally is? Is that it also in that area?
Yes.
In this case, where were you able to scan or where did the wand detect the microchip?
It was near the nape between the shoulder blades on the back.
What is the purpose of photographing the animal right away?
To document how the condition the animal was in when we were there on scene, rather than photographing it later on after it's already been impounded and transported to a different location. Both to document injuries that the dog may have had, or residual things that are with the dog, like things that were found with the dog, or just debris or substances that may or may not have been on the dog.
Now, though you are not sworn law enforcement, is there still somewhat of a law enforcement aspect to your position?
There can be.
Objection, bolster.
And what I'm getting at is that you have to do at least a investigation for animal services, correct?
Yes.
After examining the dog, what did you do with it?
After examining it, I double checked with my supervisors and what deputies wanted to do with the body, and I was given the clear to put the dog in the truck and transport it back to animal services for possible necropsy, and all the information that was on the microchip was given to the deputies.
Looking at State's Exhibit 5A, is this the truck that you were operating that day?
Yes.
And is this the truck that you used to transport the dog?
Yes.
Once you've transported the dog to, where exactly are you transporting the dog to?
I transported the dog back to Pinellas County Animal Services to store in the freezer that we have for deceased animals.
Where is Animal Services located?
On Ulmerton Road in Largo.
Here in Pinellas?
Yes.
It makes sense if you're Pinellas County Animal Services. Tell me about that freezer. Did you put the remains in that freezer?
I did.
When you responded out to the scene, did you ever learn of or see whether or not there was a head recovered?
When I arrived on scene, I was told that there was not a head and that a head had not been found.
Did you have any other involvement with the dog's remains once you placed it in that freezer?
I did not.
Moment to confirm, Your Honor?
Yes.
No questions at this time.
Cross?
May I inquire? Yes, sir. Ms. Woodland, good afternoon.
Oh, sorry.
You were showing some photographs with the wand reader. You would agree with me that it had a company named Avid on it.
It did.
Are you affiliated with that company in any way?
Outside of working with those chip readers at work, no.
And is the chips that are used by Pinellas County Animal Services, are they manufactured or produced by Pinellas County Animal Services?
They are not.
Do you know who produces them?
Several different companies.
Can you give me a list of names?
911 Pet Chip, Rescue Link, Home Again. Those are a few of them.
Now, how does, if you know, how does Animal Services determine which chip to put in a specific dog?
I don't know that.
Have you had any prior Animal Services experience or occupation before working for Pinellas County Animal Services?
I have a degree in animal studies.
Bless you. In regards to the Avid wand reader, are there different wand readers that are used by Pinellas County Animal Services, or is that the only one?
Just Avid.
Now, in regard to the companies that you listed off that produce these chips, you're not affiliated with any one of those companies, correct?
No.
And you don't have any personal knowledge as to what specific chip was used in this case regarding the dog in this case?
May I look at my notes from the case report?
Sure. And may I ask what you're looking at, just so the record's clear?
I'm looking at an animal view report, which is all the information that our computer system has on the dog and the microchip. The microchip would be 24 Pet Watch.
You're not affiliated with 24-Hour Pet Watch?
No.
You don't know how they work?
No.
Okay, you don't know how the microchips work?
I know how microchips work in general, but their specific proceedings no.
Were you involved, take a step back, if a microchip is used, whether it's 24-Hour Pet Watch or another company's microchip, does Pinellas County Animal Services input information into that chip?
Yes.
And then the chip is syringed into the dog?
Yes.
So Pinellas, somebody, a human being from Pinellas County Animal Services has to type up information in a program, I'm assuming, that gets downloaded onto this chip, correct?
Yes.
Were you involved in any of that process regarding the dog in this case?
No.
Do you know who was?
No.
Would there be notes, such as the one that you were referencing just earlier, that would indicate who inputted the information in this case, specifically the microchip?
I don't know.
Short, distinct answers. Yeah, good witness. Good
Now,
witness.
obviously, when you came at the scene and you saw the body of the dog, it's impossible for you to have identified which dog this was, correct?
I'm
You
not
found
sure I
out
understand.
later, correct?
I'm sorry?
That you found out later the identity of the dog, correct?
Yes.
You didn't know the identity of the dog once you came across it on the scene.
No.
And there was no visible collar that had a name on it, correct?
No.
First of all, thank you to Love vs. Money to gifting a membership. Thank you. And it was gifted to Mrs. Smith. And then Donna T, been a member for 20 months. Saying, thanks, Nick. Proud to be a part of the Viking crew. Thank you for being here. Thank you. But then, fun size. What type of dog was Dexter? Dexter was this type of dog. This is Dexter. I'm not entirely sure what type of dog he is, but it seems a terrier type dog. I'm not too familiar with the breeds. Love vs. Money says boxer pit mix. Okay. Yeah, let's remember Dexter like this. Not thrown away in a plastic bag. with his head cut off.
And there was no other identifying information about this dog other than the information that was received from the microchip while you were at the scene?
No.
May I have a moment?
Yes.
These seems to be like generic questions. Now, this is the defense. They are searching for something, and they should be. They are zealously advocating for their client. So they ask these generic questions. Is there something here we can poke a hole in? And apparently not.
And my last question is, you're not a records custodian for the Avid One Reader, that company?
No.
And you're not a records custodian for Pinellas County Animal Services?
No.
And you're not a records custodian for 24-Hour Pet Watch?
No.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Based on your experience at Animal Services, do you know if the information that's inputted or associated with a microchip, is that time-stamped or dated?
I don't know for certain, but I believe so.
Okay. Do you know if it's, whether or not it's time-stamped? I'll put that aside. Do you know whether it's dated?
When it's uploaded into the computer system that we use, it is dated and time-stamped. I don't know about the chip specifically.
Okay. Now, being a animal control officer, fair to say you come into contact with a lot of dogs. Is that a yes? Sorry, just for the record. Did immediately, just based on the body that you saw, did you recognize this dog as one that you'd previously been in contact with?
Not for certain, no.
A moment to confirm.
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down. You may release subject to recall. And members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break at this time, and you'll have a full hour, so enjoy your lunch. Thank you.
Remember to hold it up, we'll try to sit down.
Sorry. Yeah, I boomered. All right, this is the first part of this trial. Tomorrow, I will start the day with an update on the Delphi case. The geofencing that was prohibited by the court to be entered as evidence in the trial against Richard Allen. That after trial has revealed that 2 phones that was on site at the murders of Abby and Libby are 2 phones that was geofenced in the disappearance of Lyrics and Elizabeth in the 2012 disappearance of those 2 girls in Iowa. So 5 years apart, 250 something miles apart, the same 2 phones show up at 2 sites where girls were abducted and murdered. Now, Lyrics and Elizabeth have not been found. Abby and Libby was found. Folks, we have there's a serial killer on the loose. And I will have more a substantial update on it tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. After that, we will go through the rest of the day of this trial. And after that, I will have a members-only stream. And then we will see if I have enough energy to move on to more. I don't know yet. But that is what I have for you guys today. Florida versus Domingo Rodriguez in the mutilation of Dexter the dog. Dexter was adopted May 10th, disappeared May 11th, and showed up in a plastic bag, beheaded on May 15th. And Mr. Dingus has an OnlyFans moment behind me here. Yeah. So, welcome back tomorrow, folks. Bring friends. Bring friends. YouTube have put me in a shadow ban thing. I have 25% of my usual viewers. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but please come back and bring friends. May help me get through this shadow ban I've been put. But thank you for being here. Thank you guys over at X. Thank you guys over at Rumble. And I will see you back here tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you again. See ya. Bye-bye.